This is the Barbecue Central Show podcast, being generated from a live recording of the Barbecue Central Show, which airs at thebbqcentralshow.com every Tuesday between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Barbecue Central Show being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, makers of automatic pit temperature control devices. Visit them at thebbqguru.com or call them 800-288-GURU. And by Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply, sauces, rubs, grills, smokers, everything for the outdoor chef. Visit them online at tastylicksbbq.com or call them 800-677-2882. And by Butcher Barbecue, manufacturers of premium injections, rubs, and sauces. Visit them online and take full advantage at butcherbbq.com. And by Stephen DeFranco Jeweler, official jeweler of the Barbecue Central Show. Visit them at StephenDeFranco.com or call 440-943-2700 and use keyword Barbecue Brother to receive all the discounts. And by iGrill, manufacturer of Bluetooth-enabled temperature, which is generated and sent to your smart device. You can find out more information by visiting iGrillInc.com. Use promo code CENTRAL to get 15% off your entire order at the iGrill Inc. store. And by Green Mountain Grills, one of the country's premier pellet grill manufacturers. 3 different sizes to choose from, something to fit in every budget, and find out more by visiting greenmountaingrills.com. And by Cook Shack, the country's premier manufacturer of electronic and pellet-driven cookers, servicing the residential, commercial, and competition markets. Visit cookshack.com for more information.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, rapidly becoming known as the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. Should you see fit to jump in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you. It's not a toll-free call anymore, 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. That's the way you want to get in touch with the show. If you want to take part, if not, hey, you just hang out, relax, and see what comes naturally, if you will. A lot of great things that are going to be happening on the show tonight. For instance, if you didn't get the show newsletter, let me get you up to speed. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, third Tuesday of every month, barbecue and grilling icon Steven Reichlin joins us here on the show. Yep. I'm not even kidding about that. BarbecueBible.com is his website if you want to check him out prior to him coming on the show. We were going to be talking a lot about steak. In-depth, intimate meat, beef, and steak talk like you've never heard it before. With a master. TV show host, cooking class instructor, multiple-time author. The list goes on and on. Always humbled to have Steven on the show. Then we move to 9:35 and welcome back a friend of the show, a guy who's been live in studio, McD. Michael McDearman from GetFiredUpFoods.com will be joining us. Michael's got a couple different things we're going to be talking about. You would recall last year, I was the MC and host of a first-year contest in Miami, Oklahoma called Smokin at the Run. That has since changed formats. I was unable to attend this past weekend. And what better host to fill in for me than Michael McDearman from Get Fired Up Foods? So we'll talk to him about his perspective as being the MC this time around and the amount of teams, other issues that popped up during the course of the week that I don't want to spoil. Weekend, I mean. So look for him 9:35. Then we'll move on to the second hour where we'll find at 10:14 captain of industry in both the music and barbecue world, Sterling Ball, pitmaster of Big Pop Smokers, joins us. Many different things to talk to Sterling about. Never a shortage of opinion on what's happening in the world of competition barbecue. We'll get into a little restaurant business that he's got going. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the rubs a little bit. And cookers as well. Cookers, very important topic tonight when we talk to Sterling, so stay tuned for that. And rounding out the show, 10:35, he won the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout. He's won a lot of really important barbecue contests during his tenure as barbecue pitmaster of Lucky's Q. Justin McGlaun joins us on the show as well, so very happy to have a great show. Man, I am pumped up in seismic and gargantuan proportion. By the way, show sponsor, and I think, did he play second overall? Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue, fresh from Miami, Oklahoma. David, where did you finish? Don't make me look like a fool, for crying out loud. I'm asking for help in a very non-subtle way. Right. So there's what's happening. You want to jump in tonight, more than happy to have you. 216-220-0966, and you can also email the show, Greg, at thebbqcentralshow.com. All right. Quickly, let me go to my Stephen Reichland contact information, and let me see if I got the right... all right. Got the right one lined up. Where did I go? Here's what's happening. Right now, if you're watching the show, blast off a post on the Facebooks, on the Twitters, the Tweeter. Let everybody know you're watching the show. Send them over our way. See if we can't break the record for all-time live views on tonight. Of course, you can always catch the show on podcast if you can't catch it live every Tuesday from 9 to 11. Some links that you want to check out if you can catch the live show. Audio-wise, it's my website, thebbqcentralshow.com. Wait, news update coming up from Dave Bosca.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting live from the Barbecue Central Breaking News Desk studio in Cleveland, Ohio. Dave Bosca, Reserve Grand Championship, the first day and second. Oh, God. First day Reserve Grand Champion, second day 24th. Very respectful, David. Are you kidding me? Look at you. Look at you with a reserve and a 24th all over the place with your special shaker that we're going to be talking about during your read. If you're listening audio only, send it to my website, thebbqcentralshow.com. More than happy to have you there. If you have a smart device, download TuneIn, TuneIn, in your specific app store, whether you have iOS or the Android device. It's free. You can also pay and not have any ads, but whatever you like. And get it that way. If that's the only way you can get the show live, if you're tooling down the road, maybe you're full trucker effect, maybe you have to put an earphone in because your wife is watching something on television, you're discreetly taking in the show live, do it through TuneIn. If you can get the video, a couple different ways. If you got computer and you like the computer, OutdoorCookingChannel.com has been our video simulcasting partner for like 5 years now. Also, if you have the technology, there's like Roku, there's a number of other different Internet Protocol televisions. Search for Outdoor Cooking Channel. If they have that particular app in that respective IPTV's app store, download it, and you can get the live stream right on your high-definition television. I mean, what's better than watching me in high definition? At least 17 other things. But on a Tuesday, I mean, who knows? It's not even middle of the week, for crying out loud. So that's the way you can find the show. Don't forget, again, the number has changed. 216-220-0966 is the number you want to call. You can subscribe to this show for audio replays through the iTunes, which the majority of people do. You can also get live... Negative. You can also get video replays from the YouTube channel, Barbecue, BARBECUE, the numeral 4 and the letter U. So youtube.com/barbecue for you. You can also get the video replays at Outdoor Cooking Channel. You can get them on the regular website, thebbqcentralshow.com. I mean, there's really no reason you should ever miss anything on the show, whether you're watching it live, whether you're getting on a podcast or video podcast or vlog or whatever you want to call it. You should always get what you want and consume it the way you want with the show 100% of the time. No excuses. Ever. You should never miss anything about the show. If you've heard from somebody that, back in this time and this date there was a great interview, you can go back and get it. Worst case scenario, email me, for crying out loud. Why wouldn't you? I'm happy to help. I want to holler out. Rarely do I holler out, but I'm hollering out to the unofficial publicist of the show tonight, Jennifer Brand. Know you're listening tonight, girl, getting ready to head off to Sin City in the morning to do business with top men and women in the industry. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Now, here's something. You would recall last week I called out imposter alert for the pitmaster of Booty Q. He had inadvertently stuck a wrong number in the phone number that I was supposed to call him, and some guy went on for about, roughly 3-4 minutes. I don't know if I want to say he was trying to be an imposter, but he was answering questions he had no business answering, and he knew it. That's what I call an imposter. Did you miss the show last week, folks? Guess what? Mom imposter alert. Mom imposter. Go back to the March 11th show, top of the second hour. Someone called in as my mom. Of course, it ended badly. I know how your mind works, Centralites, especially you comedians out there. I'm talking to you. You create this big, funny scenario that's going to take place when you call in. You have the balls to call in. So I respect that. As a comedian and host, I respect the balls that it takes to actually call in the show. Internet show, terrestrial radio, satellite, whatever. Takes balls to call in, so I respect that. I pick the call up. You get off the opening line. I don't hang up on you, which you think you probably is going to happen. I play along. And then the truth is unraveled or revealed or whatever you want to call it. You didn't prepare all the way. Come on.
Big stuff out of here.
Then you flame out and you hang up, and I'm here to play along. I'll give you the rope you need to hang yourself. Just give me 2 or 3 minutes. No problem. I'm happy to do it. Go back and listen to the top of the second hour and find somebody pretending to be my mom who was not my mom. Fail miserably. But whoever that was, I appreciate you making the call. Again, I appreciate the balls, if nothing else. Calling into the show, whether it's, again, terrestrial, regular radio, or internet or whatever, you have the potential of making a fool out of yourself. You did. Well-deserved, sir. Well-deserved. All right, coming up out of the break, Steven Reichlin, grilling and barbecue icon. First, a public service announcement from my guy, Stephen DeFranco, over at Stephen DeFranco Jewelers, show sponsor. Father's Day coming in June. That's right. What to get dear old dad? How about not a necktie? How about something he's going to wear? How about a new watch from Stephen DeFranco Jewelers? Steve, an incredible selection of watches that would be perfect for dear old dad. Bulova watches. Why spend a ton of money on a watch if you don't have to? Bulova watches, stylish, affordable, starting under $200. Bulova watches come in traditional court styles and retro-styled automatic versions. Chronographs, skeletons, and traditional styles fill the Bulova line of timepieces. Bulova Precisionist, I own one myself. Maybe you want the most accurate timepiece in the world. Bulova Precisionist is just that watch. The exclusive movement of Bulova Precisionist breaks down the second-hand movements into 16 segments per second, giving it a second-hand, smooth-moving appearance. Steel titanium versions also available. And then, of course, you have the Accutron, high-end without the high price, Cadillac of the Bulova line. The Accutron is the pinnacle of high-end design without breaking the bank. Starting below $600, the Accutron watch gives you the high-end style, quality, and lifestyle without breaking the bank. Now, maybe you're more of a gadget junkie. Citizens is the place to go. Perfect, accurate, no need for different timers for your barbecue cooking. Citizen has multiple timers along with alarms, multiple time zones. And then, of course, that cottage watchmaker, Philip & Company. Many high-end European watch companies use Swiss movements called ETA. Philip hand-assembles his watches personally using ETA movements and hand-picked components starting at just under $900. Philip watches not only have an elegant European style, but they are affordable. Absolutely. So here's what you got to do. Go to Stephen DeFranco's website, StephenDeFranco.com. And then once you find what you like, lob him a phone call, 440-943-2700. That's 440-943-2700. Tell him you're a barbecue brother or sister. He'll give you the real discount of the new watch. He's not allowed by the manufacturer to show the real discount on his website, so call him, 440-943-2700. Ask for Steve. He'll take care of the rest, and not upselling you for crying out loud. All right, we're back with Steven Reichlin right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. If you want to dial in tonight, 216-220-0966. You can also email the show with any questions that you got, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. My next guest really needs no introduction at all. He's a multiple-time author. He hosts cooking classes, and you can see him on this show every third Tuesday of the month. Let's go ahead and welcome back friend of the show, Stephen Reichland. Stephen, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing absolutely fabulous. Stephen, always appreciate you making time for the show. You know, a lot of different places that we can start tonight, but of course, avid reader of your blog and perhaps even a bigger fan of steak. And if you're a fan of this show and you're somebody that's within the subculture, obviously that is right in the wheelhouse of a number of other people. However, there does seem to be, I don't want to call it trepidation like we're cooking the Thanksgiving turkey or the Christmas prime rib, but still, there seems to be a little bit of nervousness when it comes to the steak, so I figured, at least for the first part of the interview, we could really kind of get intimate with the steak cook and get your ideas and techniques to ensure a successful steak cook. So if we could, you know, just right from the start, steak prep. If I'm going to, whether it be a butcher or maybe, you know, a lot of places don't have the local butcher anymore. It's a big box store or whatever. When you're picking out the beef, does buying what you can afford really make the difference in the end product?
Well, the answer is yes, buy what you can afford, but in steak, as with so much in life, sometimes the more you spend, the better off you are. And sometimes spending more can be a bigger value in the long run. Two basic strategies. Number one, go for what are called the noble steaks, and this would include the porterhouse, the T-bone, the New York strip, filet mignon, which is very tender. I find it a little bland myself. It's not one of my favorites. My sort of go-to steak at any time would be a New York strip. But the idea here is that these are steaks that come from high on the steer. They get relatively little exercise. They have a lot of flavor. They are intrinsically tender, intrinsically flavorful, well marbled, and you don't need to do much more to them than salt, pepper, and a high heat. On the other end of the spectrum are what are called belly steaks. They come from the undercarriage of the steer. That would include your skirt steak, for example, your flank steak, your hanger steak. These are steaks that are loaded with flavor, but because the belly gets so much more exercise, tend to have a lot of stringy muscle fibers. So they're tougher than the top steaks, but the way you handle a belly steak, very simply, you cook it over a high heat very quickly, leave it rare, and then slice it very thinly across the grain. This shortens those muscle fibers, giving you, I won't say the illusion of tenderness because they are tender, but it's the way you approach a flavorful belly steak and keep it tender.
When we talk about the noble cut, Steve, and obviously that's most popular among most people listening to this show or that are fans of the show, what do you want to look for visually when you're picking out, whether it be your New York strip or the porterhouse or ribeye, which is my favorite cut? What do you want to look for visually to make sure that you're picking out that best cut?
Well, I look for, first, good marbling. That is the interstitial fatty tissue that is interspersed with the red meat. I look for thickness. I like a good thick steak. I mean, for me, the bare minimum is 1.25 inches, go up to 1.5 inches or even 2 inches. I look for a bright red steak unless it's aged. I love an aged steak. And aging is simply a process whereby you hang a hunk of meat in a walk-in refrigerator, and you let it age for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And what happens in that process is that, first of all, some of the water in the steak evaporates, thereby concentrating the flavor, downside from a price point of view is that you lose bulk and volume, which makes the steak more expensive. You also get various enzymes and bacteria at work that give you it's a richer, more robust flavor. Sometimes on a really well-aged steak, it almost has like the richness that you would associate with a well-aged cheese. So that's another thing I look for.
Stephen, when you talk about dry aged, is it advisable to go to somebody that knows what they're doing when dry aging a steak, or is this something you can do at home?
Absolutely, and this is also, I'm a great do-it-yourself guy, if you've read my books, but this is something I found that is really best done by a proper butcher. Why? Because you refrigerate it at home, you're constantly opening it and closing it, and in dry aging you really need a large space with a lot of air circulating around the meat, certain degree of humidity. I find it's best left to the professionals.
When you talk about thickness of the steak, you said at least 1.25 inches, more 1.5 inches, maybe up to 2. Definitely I'm a minimum 1.5 inches guy, and I'll go to 2 inches in a heartbeat. But can you get too thick when it comes to a steak?
Well, I used to think so until I ate at this wonderful new restaurant in Los Angeles called Quispaka, opened by the same folks that opened Mozza Pizzeria and Mozza Cafe. That is Nancy Silverton and Mario Batali's in the mix there too. And this is an very intimate, cozy, sort of 24-seat Italian chop house. And they serve a cut that's called a costata, and if you can imagine, it's about 3.5 to 4 inch cut of what, in effect, would be a very wide porterhouse. Oof. And it's grilled in a really interesting way, rubbed with a porcini salt and pepper rub. Grilled face down over a wood fire to brown one side, then face down over the wood fire to brown the other side. Then they stand the thing up and they grill it from underneath, so the heat hits that T-bone in the center and conducts the heat upwards. Takes about a half an hour to grill, and part of that time is done over direct heat, and then part of the time is sort of done next to, not directly over the wood fire. It's about as big a steak as I've ever seen in my life, and about as magnificent tasting. Is
that somebody that is that a steak that is feeding multiple people, or is that an individual steak?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of your listeners or my readers might tackle one. I think it tips the scale at about 4 pounds, so, wow. I'm thinking it's just the right size for a table of 4.
When we talk about seasoning the cut before we're putting it on the grill, and we'll get to the cooking here in just a second, I'm more of a strict salt and pepper guy because I want to taste that beef flavor. I don't want anything to cover it up, but obviously people can get a little bit more exotic when it comes to flavors. What have you found in your travels that A, works well and that seems to be popular here in the States, but then maybe outside the country as well?
Well, great question. For the record, I'm a salt and pepper guy, too, primarily, except I did develop a steak rub in my Best of Barbecue line that is pretty awesome. You get down into Brazil and Spain, and they even forego the pepper sometimes. Just thick fistfuls of coarse salt packed on the steak grilled with that, and then they turn the steak on its side, whack it with the tongs to knock off some of the excess salt. But, when you get to Asia, people actually marinate steaks in there in Cambodia or Thailand or Singapore. Your marinade may sort of play the sweet salty of fish sauce and palm sugar against the aroma of lemongrass and fresh shallots, chili powder, chili peppers, oil to keep it moist. And those steaks are amazing, too. It's just the way that those steaks are served is very different than we do in the West. In the West, the steak is the main event, as it were. It's the big hunk of protein on your plate, and anything else around that is sort of pays homage to the beef. Whereas in Southeast Asia, steak is used almost as a condiment. It would be served with wrapped in lettuce leaves or rice paper, thinly sliced, paired with a dozen different pickled vegetables, fermented vegetables, fried scallion chips, fried garlic chips, chilies. So it's is one better than the other? No, they're both equally delicious and fabulous. I guess one could sort of wax philosophical in a way about kind of how in the West, and particularly in the West of America, we have this rugged individualism, and the individual is key. And in Asia, it's much more sort of an individual as part of a community. And the steak, in that sense, sort of enters a whole ensemble. It's not kind of like a selfish thing that one person would eat. A steak in Cambodia, a New York strip that you or I would sit down to would serve a family of 4.
Stephen Reichlin joining us here on the show. The website, by the way, if you want to check it out, barbecuebible.com. Stephen, if I got to digress just for 1 second, you mentioned shallots. Is this like an ingredient that a lot of people overlook, or maybe it isn't as widely used as I think? I started really getting into the use of shallots in many different fashions probably about 2 years ago. Obviously different than onions, and I'm not a big raw onion guy by any stretch, but shallots are like a whole different world. This is something that if you haven't really played around with it, you should mix in some shallots like right now.
Well, to me, the shallot is the crown prince of the allium family. In case anyone's listening that is not familiar with a shallot, it's in the onion family, smaller than an onion, comes in a papery, sort of tan-colored skin. The flesh is kind of a reddish gray. It has a much more refined flavor than onion. Not so much of that eye-stinging, mouth-stinking pungency, although shallots are strong. They're sometimes described as a cross between garlic and onion.
Yeah.
I don't get a lot of garlic in a shallot, but, think onion that has put on a tuxedo and could go out and hobnob with the highfalutin society, and that's what a shallot is. Used to be hard to find when I started in cooking. Now widely available. I would say for every 1 onion we use 10 shallots. That's our sort of go-to allium at the Reichlin household.
All right, so if we're going to now, we've seasoned the steak, we've picked it out, we know what to look for, and now we're going to cook it. Personal preference, and I've seen every one of your TV shows, so I obviously know where you're going to go with this, but do you like the charcoal grill? Do you like the gas grill? Do you like just cooking with wood? What's your favorite way to cook the steak, fuel-wise?
Well, as you probably gathered by now, Greg, I'm a very ecumenical guy, and I don't have any one favorite method for doing anything. What makes life and barbecue interesting to me is constant variety and variation. Mm-hmm. That being said, I love grilling a steak over a wood fire. If I can't get a wood fire, I love grilling a steak over a charcoal fire that I've enhanced with some wood chunks. If I can't get that, I will use a gas grill, but I'll lift the grill grate and I'll lay wine barrel staves or olive wood chunks over the flavorizer bars, so I get a little burning wood underneath of that. But I'm probably kind of best known for what I call caveman T-bone or cavemanning, and that is you build a charcoal fire. It's got to be lump charcoal with a folded newspaper. You fan off any loose ash, and then you lay your steak directly on the embers, and you char it directly on the embers. About 4 things that happen. So, number 1, that surface charring just gives you kind of a crust and a smoke flavor you just can't get any other way. Number 2, it kind of plugs you into this great, almost 2 million tradition when our human ancestors, Homo erectus, first learned to master fire, cook his food with fire. So you're sort of participating in an act that spurred evolution and spurred the modern human being. Number 3, there's what I call the eye pop, jaw drop factor. When people come to a barbecue at your house and they watch you lay a steak directly on the embers of your grill, no grill grate, it's just magical. It flips people out all the time. And I guess number 4 is come the Armageddon, we may not have grill grates, but, we're always going to have a bed of wood embers or charcoal embers, and it's good to know how to cook a steak this primal fashion.
When you talk about the caveman style, obviously a lot of people might be a little apprehensive once they want to try it the first time. Is there any special way to go about it to ensure that you're not screwing anything up, or is it as easy as it sounds?
Well, it's pretty easy. I mean, the only sort of caveats I would give is, number one, has to be natural lump charcoal. Number two, you would light it in chimney starter because you don't want any petroleum residue. Number three, you do want to kind of fan off some of that loose ash. And then when I set up my grill, typically what I'll do is, if you can imagine, if the bottom of your grill is a circle, I'll have the coals kind of spread evenly over the bottom grate, but I'll leave that last 4-inch kind of half moon of grill space coal-free, so you can kind of reach your hand over it without burning your hand. Salt and pepper the steaks. You got to use a thick steak. Lay it on the coals. You want to kind of move it every couple minutes. Look for beads of blood purling up on the surface. That's your key to turn it. When you go to lift it and turn it, stand it on its side, shake it or tap it a little bit in case there are any loose embers stuck to the meat side, and then turn it over to finish grilling.
When we talk about internal temperatures to finish, whether you're doing it more traditionally or if you're doing it caveman style, what are you shooting for internal temperature?
Well, for rare, I would go about 120, figuring that it's going to continue to cook to 125. For medium rare, I'm going to go about 135. And for medium, I don't generally go much more than medium rare. However, I do make sure that the ends of the steak are medium to medium well, in case there's anybody I'm serving that likes their meat cooked a little bit more than that. By the way, if you want to use an instant read meat thermometer, and I'm a touch kind of guy with a steak that's, let's say, up to 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, then after that you do need a thermometer. Insert it through the side of the steak, not from top to bottom. That's the way to get an accurate reading.
Stephen, should we even bother keeping friends in our circle that want medium well to well done steaks? I can't believe it.
Well, absolutely we should. Friendship is based on your good heart and your generosity of spirit. So, the people like it well done. What can I say? Yeah, my grandfather said it's all a matter of taste, as the woman said as she kissed the cow. So, anyhow, I hate to be a snob that way, and I don't like restaurants that take that position either. Your ultimate goal as a host is to make your guests happy.
Stephen, when we talk about after it's done cooking, obviously you want to rest it for a little bit to allow it to kind of reabsorb those juices.
Very important, by the way, in a
Absolutely.
chef that's often neglected. I mean, even we've got this little buzzword, hot off the grill. Well, in fact, you do want to rest it for a few minutes.
What about this tenting of foil? Is that needed? Is that helping anything, or is it hurting because you're trapping that heat and maybe allowing the carryover cook to happen even more?
I do not tent steak with foil, the operative word being tent, because anytime you seal a steak or any kind of piece of meat with foil, what happens? You get a moisture buildup, you get humidity and watering dripping off the foil onto the steak, which in turn makes your crust soggy. However, if I've got a big steak and I'm letting it rest 5 or 10 minutes and I don't want to lose the heat, I will loosely lay a piece of foil on top. Operative word again, loosely. That is, air can circulate freely around all four sides.
Now, as far as toppings go, and I know, man, you were gracious enough to send me a whole host of the Stephen Reichlin, and I forget the name of the company that you've partnered with, these grilling butters. Obviously, a great topper, but as far as people that like to make their own compound butters at home, do you have a specific recipe that you would turn people onto?
Well, I have many specific recipes, and actually, if you go to my book, How to Grill, which I just got news today, went back for another printing.
Wow.
So it's bringing us pretty close to 2 million copies, which makes me feel pretty darn good.
No doubt.
But anyway, compound butter, start with salted butter at room temperature, whip it, You can add garlic and parsley. You can add lemon juice and parsley. You can add capers. One that I'm real big on lately, it's going to be in my new book, Man-Made Meals, The Essential Cookbook for Guys, which is actually coming out next month, is an anchovy butter. And you can either chop anchovies, mix them with the cream butter, or actually you can chop anchovies, saute them with melted butter, and pour that mixture over the steak. Absolutely fabulous.
And I'm a big fan of anchovies. I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, I can just eat them raw right out of the can. I learned that from my dad growing up as a youth, so maybe I've become accustomed to that taste, but anchovies sound great to me.
Anchovies, it really is one of the universals in steak. And you think about it, anchovy is sort of one of those quintessential umami flavors. Umami being what the Japanese call the fifth taste. It's a sort of a salty, savory flavor you find in anchovies, you find in mushrooms, you find in Parmesan cheese. But, as you travel the world's barbecue trail, which is sort of always how I attack a problem in barbecue, you find it in Italy where anchovies are laid in a lattice on top of a steak for steak pizzaiola. You find it in Southeast Asia where they use fish sauce, which is nothing more than pickled fermented anchovies. That liquid that comes off of that uses a marinade and a dipping sauce. So, if there's someone out there says they don't like anchovies, I would say you haven't tasted them right yet.
No doubt about it. Stephen Reichlin, obviously multiple-time author, cooking class instructor, TV host, and you can find him here every third Tuesday of the month, barbecuebible.com, the website. Stephen, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming out tonight.
Well, thank you. If I just may call people's attention to it, we've been talking to steak a lot, and you may wonder what to serve with it. My blog today that just went up is on South American-style barbecue sauces. And if you happen to like meat without sugar, man, South America's for you, because these are explosively flavored, simple sauces, some mild, some hot, all terrific with steak. None with sugar, and that's at barbecuebible.com.
Let's get into that maybe a little bit next month at the top of the segment.
Would love that. Always great to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
All right, Stephen, take care. There he is.
Take care.
Stephen Reichlin, barbecuebible.com, as he said. South American barbecue sauces. I mean, who knew that there was even a difference in South American barbecue sauces? I had no idea. Stephen Reichlin, grilling icon, laying it all down when it comes to steak. Learn anything new? How about trying anchovies on steak? I'm going to try that next time. All right, coming up out of the break, Michael McDearman. Gang, if you're like me, you're always trying to think of ways to step up that barbecue and grilling game. Why not treat yourself to Butcher's Barbecue Arsenal of products? You have all of the injections, the prime injection, the pork injection, the beef injection, of course, the bird booster. You have all of the rubs and sauces. The honey rub, the premium rub. The premium rub, especially if you inject with Butcher's, kind of works hand in hand there. Of course, the sweet barbecue sauce. You have the trade-in program right now where if you have bought a competitor's injection and you don't like it, in the past you've had to throw it out. You've wasted money. The wife bitches at you because you've wasted money. Never mind. Now you go to the website, butcherbbq.com, you go to trade-in link, top right of the navigation, and you print out that sheet and you send whatever is left of that commercially made injection. Send it back to Dave. He'll weigh it. And then at your request, send you back whatever injection that you would like to try of his. Just another way that he's making not only his customers, but competition customers happy as well. And we mentioned it last week, and I'm sure Dave used it this past weekend when he was at the Smokin at the Run shootout, barbecue shootout in Miami, Oklahoma. Dave now has the injection shake, so it's portable, plastic. It has the measuring lines to let you know exactly what you should be pouring in certain amounts. You're able to just kind of shake it up, plop that injection needle in there, pull the injection out, boom, there you go. It might not seem on the periphery as like the best idea. Easily one of the most inventive ideas that have hit the market between 2013 and 2014. How many people out there make an injection and then not only making an injection, thinking of you, catering guy that travels around, barbecue competition guy traveling around. Here's a shaker. here are the lines of demarcation to make sure that you're putting in all the right ingredients to make sure that injection is absolutely where you want it to be. Shake it around, stick the injector in there, you're off and running. And now, when you're done with it, stick it in the bag, stick it in the truck, the trailer, whatever it is, go wash it out, have it ready for the next catering gig or the next barbecue competition. You can get it all at butcherbbq.com. That's butcherbbq.com. Not only are they award-winning products, Dave's inventive. Think about it. How many products has he brought out even in the last year or two, helping you be a better backyard guy, a better caterer, or a better competition? You tell me. butcherbbq.com. Always trust your butcher. We're back with McD right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back. 216-220-0966. Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. My next guest, probably widely considered to be the hardest working man in barbecue and grilling showbiz. Hey, I just call him McD, and we can welcome him back to the show. Guy who has been live in studio before, Michael McDearman, joining me here on the show. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Greg. How are you?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Mike. Appreciate you asking. I mean, where do we start tonight? I guess let's start here just for funs and giggles. For the folks that might not be intimately familiar with Michael McDearman and what he is up to and the business of barbecue that you're up to, give us a little refresher on who you are and what you do.
Well, give me just a second, though, on Steve Reich, but I just want to say, wow, what a fantastic guy to have on
No
the
doubt.
show. And I actually cook a steak myself, and his techniques are spot on, so it was a pleasure listening to him, and somebody asked for some compound butters, and he gave some great ideas. One that I've used around the barbecue circuit that everybody tended to request was a blue cheese compound butter. And folks, you can rub your steak real quickly with some black pepper, thyme, and a little roasted garlic or just raw garlic minced. Then cook it on medium heat, which will be 325 to 350, so you won't burn the garlic. Then make a compound butter of butter, sun-dried tomatoes, parsley, and blue cheese. I use the guy technique and go with a cup of blue cheese, a golf ball of parsley, and about 5 sun-dried tomatoes with a stick of butter, and that'll get you squared away.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, put it on there. It'll be a nice black and blue steak for you.
All right, Michael McDearman joining me here on the show. The website, by the way, if you want to check him out while we're talking, getfiredupfoods.com. Michael, we have you specifically on tonight because a competition near and dear to my heart took place this past weekend in what the locals call Miami, Oklahoma. I call it Miami, and I would get punched in my face if I would say that out loud over there. But this is a contest that, a year ago, first-year competition, there were 55 teams. There were a lot of big names. There were a lot of, I guess, what you would call middle-tier names. And then, guys just kind of knocking the rust off, maybe first competition ever, a wide variety of excellence and noviceness that were kind of sprinkled about the field. And it was just a great time for me to finally get to meet some people that I have interviewed on the show, who sponsor the show. Many different wins for me to get out there, aside from just, getting out into Oklahoma, a place I've never been before in my life, and seeing how a barbecue competition kind of goes down out there. You kind of going in this year, the format changes. So what did you think about the format itself, switching from what it was as a traditional style competition last year to a shootout competition this year?
Well, you know what? It had the best of both worlds because it was a double header. For those that don't know, the shootout was essentially taking the 84 teams that signed up for the contest and on site, drawing them out of a hat and going in about on the first day, drawing them out and splitting them up into a red flight and a blue flight. And when they did this, that basically made 2 contests out of the 1 contest teams. That doubles your chances, or it gave 3 total opportunities out of Miami, Oklahoma, to get a draw for the Royal, to get a draw for the Jack. And you know what? Still made it a state championship qualifier with 42 teams each.
Now, when you're out there, obviously, for the people that know you, you've been traveling around the country along with the Sam's Club tour, doing the high heat portion of it, the grilling experience. Is that something that you were able to get into? Were you able to teach the steak Michael McDermott method out there to the Oklahoma faithful?
Actually, David Qualls, well, speaking of David, he said to joke with you and tell you that I took your job, but I won't say that.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
And you know how Dave Qualls is. He always is looking for a funky good time. When he invited me out, he said, we'd love to showcase some teaching methods and stuff. And I was supposed to do a little hour and wound up having so much fun. I did too. So we had some great fun on the grill.
When you're teaching, we just spent a good 20 minutes talking with Stephen Reichlin about cooking steaks. Your method kind of unique in itself, one that you're teaching and kind of spreading the word as you hit the Sam's Club trail. For the folks that aren't familiar with it, just maybe a quick thumbnail sketch of how you are teaching people to cook steak, and what kind of a reaction do you get when your methods are being taught from what the people typically hear from the talking heads on the food networks and so forth?
And I appreciate you coming back to this. The past 3 years I've been on the pro barbecue circuit, essentially 9 months a year straight on tour on the American Grill Master Experience. And with that, I've had sponsors and been the Grill Master for Beef It's What's for Dinner. They're only traveling Grill Master. Coke, Heinz, McCormick Grill, or McCormick Spices, Bull Grill. The list goes on. I've about a dozen companies that I've represented, even Right Brand Bacon and some others. With the things that I've gone around and taught, it's been teaching medium heat, 325 to 350, to caramelize the sugars and the proteins. Jump away from the carcinogens and the cancer-causing stuff and the char, and slow your cooking process down, because most people, only 5% of the steaks in the country are prime. And so when that happens, you're more likely to buy a choice steak, and it's easier on your wallet. You're going to get an $8 or $9 steak at the house for, what would be a restaurant quality $40 steak. So, if you do that, you're going to leave 6 to 9% more moisture in your steak, not boil it out and create that crust and that toughness on the outside. Steve's exactly right. Resting is a very key part of the process when you're cooking a steak. And so when you showcase those things, cook to an internal temperature, he's in the 120s for his rare, I am too, and he's in the mid-30s for his medium rare. I have to go to a 145 to be food safe. To educate the public with the USDA standards. So I pull mine off at 137 to 140 with a 3 to 6 degree rise. It's a finishing cook-through temperature.
And look, I have to say, as someone who saw you do it live when you were at the Sam's Club out there in Canton, Ohio a couple of years ago, and have had you live in studio, we've obviously talked about it at length here. But for the people that find it hard to at least one time, all I'm asking you is one time, try it like this. And if it's not one of the best ways that you have actually cooked steak and really followed the Michael McDermott method, of I've termed it, unless there's a niftier name than that, but the way the McD does it, this is a way that might change your steak cooking life. And if you have a wife or you have kids that don't like the way you used to, why not change it up and get that whole family on board with the way you're doing it? I think it's a great job, Michael.
Well, I appreciate it. And, when I see people put the piece of steak in their mouth and they're sitting there and they cock their head to the side like my dog when I whistle at them, so wondering, going, oh, my gosh, can it be? And you see that satisfaction in their eyes. That's the wonderful thing about my job. A restaurant chef in the back, they never get to see their customers and get to see the reaction. I get to see a couple thousand people putting that in their mouth every weekend when I'm out there. And at these busy contests for sure. It's something that people realize, and then you see them come back. Where's that recipe card? And you got them. You know that they've gotten it. And it's only really 5 simple steps, going straight from the fridge to the grill. Preheat your grill 325 to 350. First side 5 to 7 minutes. Second side, go to an internal temperature of what you like, and I'm going to preach it at 137, and then rest it for 5 minutes.
Michael McDermott joining me here on the show. GetFiredUpFoods.com, the website, obviously, if you want to check it out. Michael, as we revert back to the competition, as you're calling out, well, let's talk about this. What the hell is going on over in Oklahoma with that weather, for crying out loud? Saturday, 70 degrees.
I was walking around all comfortable, no jacket, and just basking in the sun when I got there, and just enjoying it all. And The Saturday contest goes out. It's mid-60s. All you need is an umbrella drink, and you can get one of those in the casino. You walk around, and then all of a sudden, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes in Oklahoma because that wind starts rolling in. And Saturday night, it was howling at 27 miles an hour constant, and then the gusts and the snow, the sleet, the hail. They were like the postman and the delivery thing.
As a MC of the event, as you're seeing things go down, what's your take? And plus, you get to see, all of the Sam's Club stuff that's going on, so you're well-versed to seeing different weather patterns and different weather things affect cooks. How did you think that it was affecting the cooks out there going from a 60, 65-degree Saturday into a Cleveland, Ohio-esque Sunday?
I knew that it was going to affect the smokers, but we had such a great pool of talent in the teams that were there and the experience levels. I mean, 4 legs up, strong, Kelly Wirtz, and you come in high Smoky D's, and the Butchers there, of course, and Sterling Ball with Big Papa Smokers. By the way, I got to use the Butcher and BPS, their steak rubs in my demos. I want to say, the Butcher's got a little lemon zing to it. Fantastic. And it's also a brisket rub, too, folks. Yep. Check it out. Also with Big Papa Smokers, they've got a nice little sweet one that we were using. It's strong. So check both of those guys out when you're looking for seasoning your next steak. As far as the teams go and how they were cooking, when you walk around and look at the different cookers, that's what part of being a pitmaster is understanding how to adapt and change and take on those elements. So that's part of the fun of the sport, right?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. And, for you kind of announcing the awards, keeping things going, how did you find this event as one that you're kind of hosting and guiding along to its ultimate end?
I want to say, first and foremost, Dick Qualls has a fantastic staff that put it together.
So good.
But his concentration on the judging process, vetting the judges and announcing it to the teams and letting them know, if these two judges are driving together, guess what? We're splitting them up. We're not letting them judge together. It was that kind of intensity. One went to the red side, one went to the blue. He wanted to make it as a cook. He wanted to make it a cook's contest. The hospitality was fantastic. He fed sandwiches and then biscuits and gravy for breakfast, those kinds of things. I swear, it felt like it rivaled Hammond, Louisiana, and their reputation for hospitality.
As a second-year contest, is this one that you see getting ultimate legs and really anchoring down what would, I guess, be the northeast corner of the state of Oklahoma?
We had teams. I don't think it's just northeast Oklahoma. That's where it'll be. But if you look at this, you had teams from Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Texas, all around, and they came from a long ways away. I think there were even a couple West Coast teams that popped in. With that, they're driving miles already. In a second-year contest, I think that shows you that the depth of the respect they got for it and the quickness the reputation spread.
Michael, before I let you go tonight, plans that you have for 2014 and the next coming quarter?
It's going to be exciting. We've got a lot of things where I'm going to be going around and doing more of these MCs for events, teaching classes at events and helping them raise funds for their prize pool and for them to supplement the cost of their barbecue contests. And then as far as PBS, one of the Emmy-winning station that I'm familiar with is actually putting into development a live fire cooking show. So we'll be trying to get 13 episodes cranked out.
Very nice.
And get that out. Yeah, and they're going to go straight to national. They've won Emmys with Bluegrass Underground and then also another show called Hippie Jacks. But they say that they think that we'll go straight to national with this. So I'm really excited about that. There's a couple other things that are coming up. Nashville Lifestyles Magazine is running a contest with me as the prize, and that'll be a fun one coming up next month, actually, in Nashville Lifestyles Magazine. By the way, a little fact for you here, and you may know this being through my Emma already, but the barbecue folks out there that went to the Sam's Club National as well as the KCBS banquet, they got to see Keith Anderson play, country music star.
Oh, how about that?
Oklahoma is his hometown.
Wow.
He was actually on the poker chips inside the Buffalo Run Casino.
Well, there you go. Michael McDermott, my guest. You can find him again at getfiredupfoods.com and racing around this country in 2014. Michael, always appreciate the conversation, and we'll look for you again soon, buddy.
Be good. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. There he is. Michael McDermott. I call him McD. You should call him McD, too, if you see him out there on the barbecue trail. And again, his website, getfiredupfoods.com. So, yeah, I mean, where am I at? You get a guy like Michael McDermott shows up in Miami, Oklahoma, steals your gig. That's it for me. One and done, folks. Thanks for coming. David, I love you. Please don't get rid of me. Next year, I swear I'll be there. Don't let me get my mom on the phone. She will tear you up and down, David, I swear to God. All right, we'll wrap up the first hour right after this, but first let me talk to you about the longest-running sponsor of the show, Barbecue Guru, makers of automatic pit temperature control devices and a host of other products that make your barbecue and grilling life easier. If you're not familiar with how automatic pit temperature control devices work, you know me, I'm not a minute detail kind of guy, but imagine a product that allows you to keep your temperature running all the way through the cook. Sound too good to be true, it's not. It's real-life technology. You can take advantage of it today. Maybe you're a busy working professional like me. Day job got you running, or perhaps you are constantly on the run with kids doing errands. And quite frankly, you just don't have the time to set around and tend pit temperatures. I understand. You get the Barbecue Guru. It allows you to throw a pork butt or a brisket or a couple slabs of ribs on the cooker. And then you're off to do whatever it is you need to get done. And the Barbecue Guru maintains the pit temperature you set it at. There's currently a number of different models to choose from. That's right. The Procom, the CyberQ Wi-Fi, the CyberQ 2, the DigiQ DX2, and of course the newest unit that is taking over not only countries but worlds, the Party Q. $129 for most cookers, getting a facelift. We're going to talk to Bob Trudnak about that next week. If you do have the ceramic-style cookers or the Kamado-style cookers, extra $10, so $139 for that damper at the bottom to fit on there. But hey, it's contained, self-contained, runs on AA batteries. I affectionately call it the prostitute of automatic pit temperature controls because it can go from a kettle-style grill to a Kamado-style grill to a bullet-style grill to a regular-style grill. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. The gateway drug of pit temperature control unit. Now, maybe you're in the market for a cooker. How about the Onyx oven? Fully insulated, holds a ton of meat, accommodates the half and full pans for food service. So if you are a caterer or maybe you're a competition cook that cooks a huge amount of meat because you're very trepidatious of your turn-ins, this is the one that's going to do for it. Also, you know it's going to work seamlessly with the Barbecue Guru pit temperature control technologies. Do yourself a favor. Head on over right now. Check out the products. If you have any questions, give them a call directly, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. And they'll make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. Again, 800-288-GURU or thebbqguru.com. That's the website, the Barbecue Guru. A breakthrough in barbecue technology. We're back to wrap up the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
We are back. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. That's the number to get in touch with the show, should you see fit. More than happy to have you to jump in tonight. What? Come here. Thanks to Michael McDermott for joining me just this past segment. Again, I'm going to go back to it. I'm not just marking out to Michael because he's been in the studio before and he's been on the show a number of times. You know, he does diverge a little bit from the talking heads of what the best way to cook steak is. You know, you're always hearing from, you know, the Food Network and, you know, a lot of these other cooking channels that it's always high heat, blasted, get as hot as you can, sear in the juices, which we all know is false at this point. Take the time just one time. Buy a steak, preheat 325 to 350, cook the steak on one side for 5 to 7 minutes, flip it, cook to the internal temperature you want it at, let it sit for about 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on how thick it is. And then decide for yourself if that might not be a way that you will be cooking steak from now on. I would venture to say, as someone who has tried it once and 10 and 20 times, it's my go-to cooking steak method. Plus, it's great to see the reaction on people's faces when they see that you're not, stoking up a fire that could also power a locomotive, for crying out loud. GetFiredUpFoods.com. Also in the first hour, we talked with Stephen Reichlin, barbecue and grilling icon, multiple-time author, TV show host, cooking class instructor, BarbecueBible.com. Next time he's on in the third week of what will be April, we'll talk about the Southern American barbecue sauces that he referenced as we ushered him out of the segment. Lots to come here in the second hour. We have a Sterling Ball sighting coming up at about 10:14. We have a Justin McGlaun Lucky's Q, who won the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout sighting coming up at 10:35. We also have your phone calls, your emails, bunch of different stuff coming up here, so I invite you to stick around. I'm going to refresh my libation. I suggest you do the same, and we'll be back here at the top of the hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show on barbecuecentralshow.com, also OutdoorCookingChannel.com, also Roku. However you're getting it, happy to have you, and we'll see you back here in just a couple minutes. Stick around. We'll be right back. Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
We ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, just like that, we are in the second hour. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. We do this show live every Tuesday from 9 to 11. We're also recording it for people that'll hear it after the fact. But for the people that are listening live, appreciate you the most. The most. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast, by the way. You can jump in, 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com, should you see fit to weigh in on any topic that we are talking about tonight, or make up a topic. Let me know what you're up to. More than happy to have you here on the show. Once again, coming up here on the show still tonight, Sterling Ball, pitmaster of Big Papa Smokers, and also Justin McGlaun from Lucky's Q, the pitmaster who won Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout this past weekend in Miami, Oklahoma, which is the place that McD was at emceeing. So lots of intertwining interviews and so forth going on here on the show. By the way, folks, I talk about it each and every week now that it's under full swing. The Sam's Club National Barbecue Tour rolled into Fort Worth, Texas this past weekend. Besting a packed field of competitors was a Wildcatters Q Crew. That's right. Showing true mastery of the art of low and slow, claimed the grand championship with an overall score of 670 points and loose change. Of course, the top 6 teams who are in this particular local move on to the regional event in Midwest City, Oklahoma, which is September 20th, as we talked about last week for this particular pool. Again, the top 6, Wildcatters Q Crew winning Caveman Cuisine Reserve Grand Champion Twin Pigs is third. Incognito. What a great name, Incognito. Fourth, Brotherhood Barbecue fifth, and rounding out the top six. Can't smoke this. Can't smoke this. Winning the categories, Brotherhood Barbecue in chicken, pork was Caveman Cuisine, ribs was Brotherhood Barbecue, and brisket. Incognito. I just love saying incognito. Absolutely. Love it. Again, they will be moving on to the Midwest City, Oklahoma Regional Final in September on the 20th. So look for them, Wildcatters, Caveman Cuisine, Twin Pigs Barbecue, Incognito, Brotherhood Barbecue, and Can't Smoke This. Congratulations to all that showed up and did it. And there is another Sam's Club event that is taking place. Hold on. Got to go back to the KCBS, kcbs.us. Ugh. Too many US's there. I'll get to it here. Just wait a damn minute. All right, Midwest City, Oklahoma. Coming up. Who? Oh, maybe we're off. Are we off? 5. Yeah, looks like we might be off for a little bit here. Maybe not. Oh, no, absolutely not. Coming up this weekend. That would be 322. First local in Las Vegas. In the Las Vegas Regional. This one will take place in Tucson, Arizona. And it is packed full of teams. You can find it on March 22nd. Tucson, Arizona. And again, that will feed into the Las Vegas Regional, which takes place, next month, end of next month. First regional will be in the books through Las Vegas. So you got 322. The following week is in Sacramento, California. Following week is in Renton, Washington. Following week, Salt Lake City, Utah. Following week, Thornton, Colorado, culminating in the Las Vegas Regional on 4/26. Wow, that's going to be back to back to back to back. 4 weeks in a row, 5 weeks in a row, right there. So, hey, take a look at the Sam's Club. Again, we were just talking with Michael McDermott about it. The Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout took place in Miami, Oklahoma this past weekend. Again, obviously, this was a contest that I hosted last year. Had a great time. We had David Qualls on the show a few weeks back talking about how it had changed from the format last year to the format this year. And here are the results for that one. By the way, I want to mention a favorite contest of mine that will be taking place this... What? Wait a second. 80. Yeah, all right. Nevertheless, I forgot to keep writing on that one. So for the people that wanted to know how the flights finished up, let me get to the results. Sweet child of mine. All right. I don't know which particular flights these were, but the Smokin at the Run Shootout. Top 5 out of this particular flight, 4 legs up, Butchers, Barbecue, Casey Can Crew, QOW, and Burnt at Both Ends. Those were the top 5 in that particular flight. And then you had the next flight, Clark Crew Barbecue, Outlaw Hogs Barbecue, Lucky's Q, Shake and Bake Barbecue, and the Smokin Hills. I met the Smokin Hills last year as well. And where is the... Is that not going to show? Oh, here we go. Final results, Smokin at the Run. Barbecue Shootout. Lucky's Q, Clark Crew Barbecue. Wow, good finish. QOW finishing very well as well. Little Pigtown and Gillies Barbecue. Wow, I think Gillies was a Reserve Grand Championship last year. That guy had a great season last year. Watch out for Gillies. He's something else, I think. Gillies Barbecue. Always got an eye on that guy now ever since I met him. If we quickly turn to the top 5 in the KCBS overall Team of the Year standings. They were second last week. They have now bumped back up to first place. Donnie Bray, Warren County Pork Choppers. He's reversed fortunes with Q and Stewin and Bruin. Butcher Barbecue, look at this guy, third place overall for Team of the Year. Darren Warth, Iowa Smoky D's, and Smoke Me Silly, rounding out the top 5. The IBCA, who I will actually be having an interview with next week, Lynn Shivers will be joining me here on the show. They do not have any defined Team of the Year, otherwise I would be giving you those as well. But we'll float quickly over to the Florida Barbecue Association. Top 5 for Team of the Years as they sit right now. Jim Elser, Sweet Smoke Q, leading the board right now. Matt Barber, Hot Wachulas, Dana Hillis, Big Papa Smokers. I'm sorry, Big Papa Country Kitchen. Sorry about that day. 4th, Get Her Smoked. 5th, Swamp Boys. And a number of other teams really close in that one as well. So that one shaping up to be yet another hotly contested Team of the Year for Florida Barbecue Association. Very nice. And, I often am reading about, news things that are happening out there in the world these days. And, if I've seen this story come up once, I've seen it 1,000 times. Firefighters called to barbecue inside a flat. What? Look, what is going on over in the England? Because it always seems that when I see these stories, it's because somebody over in England has decided that it has been a great idea to locate a charcoal burning device in a house. For instance, 2 fire engines rushed to a Batley car flat after smoke from a barbecue filled the homes. The fire was not burning when firefighters from Dewsbury Fire Station arrived at the Warwick Road flat shortly before 11 a.m. today, which was Monday, so yesterday. But fans were used to clear the smoke. A fire station spokesman said the woman had been barbecuing her breakfast in her kitchen and didn't realize the danger. Fumes had filled the flat. People should not use barbecue indoors. Carbon monoxide fumes released are dangerous, and the flimsy cans can easily burn through. She was very lucky. The lady, who was around 70 years old, was given the fire prevention advice, and her smoke alarms were checked for accuracy. Hey, lady, how about this? Stop cooking on charcoal inside your house.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Does anybody else remember the story I did of like the 70-year-old lady whose dryer broke in England, and she brought in the charcoal fire grill from the garden in the back, lit it in the laundry room, and hung laundry up? She hung laundry up for the charcoal fire to dry out. Are you kidding me? Folks, you can't burn charcoal inside the house. It's going to kill you. Carbon monoxide, not something you want to breathe in. Just a word to the wise.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Coming up out of the break, Sterling Ball from Big Papa Smokers. Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply, folks, known for their amazing wide selection of cookers, sauces, rubs, all things for both the backyard cook and the serious competition team needs. They sell Big Green Eggs, Kamado Joe cookers, Primos, Mac, Green Mountain pellet grills, all the Weber grills, and smokers as well, Meadow Creek smokers, and cookers. They're also one of the largest barbecue guru dealers in the country, and the very first to offer professional and amateur cooking classes featuring well-known chefs, Harry Sue, Todd Johns, Dan Hickson, just to name a few. They've all graced the downtown, beautiful Shillington, Pennsylvania location of Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply. You can visit them at tastylicksbbq.com. You can call them at 800-677-2882. Call Fred Bernardo right now. Call him whatever you want. Call him the Smokin' Guitar Player. Just buy something, for crying out loud. What I mean to say is this. If you call him at 800-677-2882, or if you go to the internet and check him out at tastylicksbbq.com, you'll find that the Smokin' Guitar Player has over 150 cooking videos on the website. And in a couple of them, he doesn't even try to sell you anything. I'm not even kidding. He's just spitting knowledge like crazy. Fred, really into pizza these days. You're a pizza cook. You like to cook pizza on the pellet grill, on the Big Green Egg, or the Kamado-style grills. He's your guy. He's the expert. Plus, he gets real hyper-tech with it. He's got the Forno Bravo ovens, the real pizza ovens, all that stuff. The special flour and the ingredients that you need to make like real Italian pizza pie. Bada boom. Fred's the guy. Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply, beautiful downtown Shilling, Pennsylvania. If you're in the area, stop by. He's cooking everything all the time. You can always stop in, mostly, and get like free samples. He's got all the rubs and sauces that you need. You got to check him out. TastyLicksBBQ.com. That's TastyLicksBBQ.com, or call them 800-677-2882. That's 800-677-2882. Fred also says, never cook in your house with charcoal fire. You're bound to die, literally. We're back with Big Papa Smoker's pitmaster and business owner Sterling Ball right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we're back. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. John Dawson writing in, charcoal fire indoors. Lest we forget that Brad Delp, lead singer of the 70s band Boston, used charcoal grill in his bathroom to kill himself. What? John, only you would know that, for crying out loud. I bet my next guest would probably know that bit of trivia information as well. You know him as the creator of the very successful line of Big Papa Smokers rubs, the pitmaster of Big Papa Smokers. Sterling Ball joining me here on the show. Sterling, how are you, buddy?
I'm fabulous. How you doing, Greg?
Oh, Sterling, I am doing absolutely fabulous myself. Appreciate you asking. A lot of different things that we can get into here tonight. As mentioned by Michael McDermott here a little bit ago, you took part in the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout. Look, I mean, I know where you're coming from. I mean, that is a hike and a half. What the hell are you doing out in Oklahoma?
I have no life.
I mean, undoubtedly, but still, that's a hike for even a man with no life.
No, what we try and do is we always try and plan one road trip other than the Royal, and this was ours. And we had great 72-degree weather and then 30-degree weather. It was fun. I got to hit Darren with a snowball. That was my highlight.
Are you somebody that has seen a what I would call a substantial amount of snow in your lifetime, or have you always been a little bit more sheltered from the white stuff?
I wear shorts all the time, probably less than a dozen times in my life.
So when you have a day that is, 65 degrees, relatively sunny, maybe a little bit windy on a Saturday, and then, overnight it turns into what I term as Cleveland weather. Is that a little disconcerting to you, or is that something you're prepared for and you're easily handling?
Well, we cook on an old hickory, how's that for a plug, pit, and we cook in a trailer. So, it's just interesting. I mean, it's distracting because we take pictures of the snow,
All right, so let me ask you about that. This is a subject that I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Is this old hickory pit? Obviously, you're a guy that is looking to invest within the industry. You're bringing rubs. You're bringing, the drum smokers. You're a distributor of a bunch of different pellet grills and all this stuff. But here is I guess, to my knowledge, a very unique pit. It's with a very respected pit manufacturer, at least in the food service industry in Old Hickory. But this is like a competition smoker that you really had a big hand in kind of helping engineer and get out to the market. Tell me about it. And it's really got quite a unique look to it, if you will.
Well, it's really just a smaller CPO, but Old Hickory has been a great competition pit manufacturer forever, and the Knight family is one of the best families out there. And that's one of the things we have in barbecue is a collection of great families. It's not hugely corporate. And I started working with David and Alex on the Little Ace, and not many people were using it, and we started doing pretty well. And there were just a couple changes that I made, and I sort of did well. I think I had 2 GCs and 3 contests with it. And so we decided to sell it. And this is something that's not really an investment. It's more of an endorsement. But I really love the product. I'm also a dealer for their bigger pits. But, I mean, they're pretty bulletproof. I love how they cook. They're a convection cooker, the BP model, and it's very fast, which is kind of fun. We put our big meats on at 7 in the morning on the 30-degree day.
7 in the morning? The day's almost over.
Well, for some.
Or it's still rolling from the morning previously. So, I mean, it's 7 in the morning. I mean, turn-ins are typically starting around noon. I mean, how quick are you cooking a brisket?
About 4.5 hours.
Wow.
5 hours. Yeah, of course, by my results this weekend, maybe they could have stayed in longer, but Scott Key of Little Pigtown is also cooking on one, and he did very well. He was 4th overall. Scott Nelson of Pigskin is cooking on one this year, too. I think IAB 30 is. There's a few guys looking at them, too. It's interesting. You know, we all have a disease. We all need to buy pits and more stuff.
It seems that the overwhelming favorite pit over the last number of years has been the Jamie Gear Jambo pit. I mean, would you like to see this old Hickory pit kind of gain a similar popularity amongst the barbecue elite competition cookers, or I mean, is it not that kind of a thing for you?
No, you know, look, I think Jamie Gear, I have Jambos. I love Jambos. I think Jamie is an absolute genius. I think it was awesome that he won Houston. No, I don't look at things like that. And the perfect example is the Gateway drum smoker. So when Darren got one for Christmas from Sherry, you know, and people posted, "Oh, Sterling's going to be upset." I wasn't even a little bit upset. I got that same disease. So, you know, damn it, Gateway, he just came out with the Big Papa Smokers model that I sell. Because I think the world's about choices and having more choices. So, you know, I think the fact that I make a drum and sell, you know, the most successful drum out there too as a dealer. And by the way, I gotta tip my hat to all those guys. I mean, you know, the Insane Can guys. They all can cook. They're all a ton of fun, and some of them even use my rubs.
Sterling Ball joining me here on the show. BigPapaSmokers.com, the website, if you want to check it out while we're talking. You know, another thing I wanted to hit on tonight, I'm wearing the sweatshirt, by the way, that you sent me, is this West Coast offense, and I've seen some posts about it recently here on the worldwide internets. Can you define specifically what the West Coast offense is? Is it just all the rubs between Simply Marvelous and Big Papa Smokers? Does it have to be this rub from you and this rub from him going on at certain times during the day over certain meats? I mean, define West Coast offense aside from being a horrific abomination of offense that the Cleveland Browns tried to run last year.
Yeah, exactly. And thank God we've been a little more successful than. Listen, it's sort of in marketing. I mean, West Coast is not exactly considered something that you'd want to talk about in barbecue. And so it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, the West Coast offense. And it started with Steph and I. We'd get paired next to each other, and I always liked his rubs, and he liked mine, and we started kind of playing around with combinations. And then guys like Matt Dalton at Left Coast came along. He started playing with them too, and we came up with some combinations that started doing well. And of course, with the elite teams, you know, we communicated those to guys like Scott Nelson and, you know, Tippy and Ryan and the boys and Tim of True Bum, not Iowa guy, and we said, "This is the West Coast offense." It was sort of a joke. So we made T-shirts and sweatshirts, but really it's combinations. It's a lot of sweet money and sweet seduction on things like chicken. It's peppered cow and double secret on brisket, or peppered cow and money. But there's a lot of different combinations there, and it is winning. And there was a lot of, just this weekend in Miami, a lot of West Coast offense did very well.
One of the competitions that had just taken place during the early part of the year was this guinea pig contest that you had put on. And I guess one of the things that I kind of admire about you, aside from being a captain of industry well outside the barbecue market that people may or may not know about, that we're not getting into tonight, but is that you've tried to kind of corral the barbecue competition scene and really boilerplated or bring it on the carpet to expose it for what it is, and bring competitions to people that aren't going to break the bank, and that people can be kind of an even cooking field. And this guinea pig contest certainly a good example of that. If you could kind of bring us back to that competition in its genesis and how you saw it come off after the whole thing ended.
Okay, well, here's the deal. I'm a promoter of contests, I'm a competitor, and I'm a dealer, and I'm a manufacturer. So that's sort of a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Probably my least favorite hat is promoter. And it's not from the King of the Smokers. That's easy, because I got to tell you, as a promoter, the great teams are easy, super easy. As a promoter of not an elite invitational, the great teams that showed up are easy, and the beginning teams are just happy to be there. It's all the other stuff that wears you out. And if you talk to promoters, they'll tell you that. But the guinea pig was me proving a point. Number one, it was a private contest, because we have issues entertaining the crowd and keeping sponsors. So there were no sponsors to make happy. So that was the first thing. It was at a private resort, RV resort, and Shadow Hills RV Resort took such great care of us. It was $400. We got 2 days at the resort. Kids were in the pool. But, a lot of people that weren't there have questioned it afterwards and said, well, this wasn't a great deal. Well, it was. And I never said it was cheap. I said it was cost controlled. It was $400. And, of course, we had travel getting there, but most of the teams were from Southern California. But you got your meat, and you got fed. We had a kids' queue where we had 26 kids cooking, and they each got to take home a little mini Weber. We had a very, very large, 36-person dessert thing. None of this is groundbreaking, but we did bring the family back. We also, one of the most expensive parts of a contest is power, generators. So I also wanted to make it more like the old days, which I wasn't there for, but where it was a bunch of friends seeing who could cook bad meat the best, and there weren't generators and stuff. So at 10 o'clock, the generators went off. If you had an inverter, you could run it. And there was a lot of grumbling about it beforehand, but walking the contest at 10 o'clock, it was so cool. And people pulled me aside and said, God, I like this. So anyway, it was a redistribution of prize money. We paid 10 places. And several people that had similar results at the competitions before that came home with no money, came home with $700 or $800. And so it was a really good weekend for them.
Sterling Ball joining me here on the show, BigPapaSmokers.com, the website if you want to check it out. Is that a contest that you see doing every year or maybe multiple times a year?
Sure. And I also think regionally, nationally, it's got legs. You really need a meat sponsor, or you need to figure out a sponsor. And the one mistake that I'll admit to is that I didn't limit the size of the briskets or the butts. I had a guaranteed size, but some people got bigger briskets than others, and they got a little upset, even though I gave them prime briskets instead of choice. But next year, we're going, they got their meat via a random ping pong ball draw, and we're going to take pictures of the meat in the box, and we're going to also make sure that everything's within a 1 or 2 pound range. But there was only a few people that really complained, but it's the internet, and I don't think they ever stopped to think how hard it is to put together 50 boxes of competition meat. So I think we did a really good job at that.
When we talk about competition barbecue, you kind of harken back to days that, you weren't in it yet, but you seem kind of fond of and trying to recreate to a certain extent here in 2014, 2013, and as we move forward. How do you see the state of competition barbecue? I know you have a lot of facts. You're a big research guy. What are you seeing, and how are you seeing it trend over the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months?
Well, I see a lot of big contests being canceled, but there's still slightly more on the books for this year. Treasure Island in Minnesota, I guess, was canceled this week. That was a $30,000 contest. I think that the real opportunity in barbecue is to get the 7,400 and something people to cook more than twice a year. So much of what we do in competition barbecue is geared towards Team of the Year. Now, of the 7,800 teams that competed last year, 27 teams cooked more than 25 times.
27?
It used to be 27.
Wow.
And teams that cooked more than 13, between 13 and 25, were 121. So you have 148 teams that cook 12 times or more, wow. 13 times or more. And one of the reasons why I'm working with Barbecue Scores is we now have created a database that allows you to sort based on how many contests you're going to cook and see how you stack up. And a perfect example, I had a guy email or actually post on the Brethren that he was very disappointed in competition barbecue because he came in 350th. But when he went to Barbecue Scores and sorted 5 contests or less, he was 9th in the country. He felt a lot better about the effort that he did.
Right.
And think about a tennis club or a bowling league that only had an open division. And that's what we have in barbecue. So I think one thing that can be very helpful is to do more things to bring the family back, do more things to control the cost, and give people some goals to shoot for, because the Team of the Year goal, it's 40 contests now that you got to do to commit to that. And this year's winner, True Bud, fabulous cooks, member of the elite team, they're going to cook less than 20 contests this year.
Yeah.
In fact, Greg, what's really interesting is if you look at the sort from 2013 of the guys who cook between 13 and 25, it's Left Coast, it's Tippy Canoe, Blazing Blues, Pellet Envy, 1-2, Pigskin, somehow I snuck in there, Big T's, Little Pigtown, and GQ. 8 of those guys are guys who used to cook 40 times a year.
Yeah.
Other than me, that's pretty much an all-star team there.
You're not terrible.
We're going to recognize those different contest numbers.
So, is there a break point now, or is it realistic to talk about the teams that are going to be doing 35 and 40 competitions that should somehow be factioned off, and I don't know if you call them more professional or less professional, or just a different stratus, because the overwhelming majority of people aren't going to be doing those competitions. So likewise, so they're not going to be Team of the Year, right?
I can tell you there's 27 that did it. It's easier to name the ones that do it than don't.
So if there's only 27
here's
teams,
what has to happen. Okay, what really has to happen is we've got data now, and we've got to look at the data and find good uses for it so we can create good plans for the future. And one of them is that you can do right away is that the 300-point contest is based solely on number of teams.
Yeah.
And we all have data, and we all have a handicap, so to speak, okay? And you need to come up with some kind of good formula that considers at least team strength along with number of teams.
Sterling Ball joining us here on the show, BigPapaSmokers.com. A couple minutes we have left, Sterling, in a complete divergence of sorts. What's going on with BJ's Brewhouse?
That was so fun for me, and it is really fun because I started out to help them with their barbecue, and it's 150 stores, and it went pretty well, and the CEO asked me if I wanted to see what it was like to participate in one round of culinary creation. And I did, and working with the guys there, it's first of all, it's a state-of-the-art kitchen, the most beautiful kitchen. I think it's like 6,000 feet, with great chefs. And I wear a chef's coat, but my title at BJ's is I think you've got the picture of it.
Yeah, Chief Instigator, right?
Chief Instigator. But some of my stuff, with the help of those guys, is on the menu, like the Mediterranean chicken tacos and that are on a pita bread. So it's been really fun. And actually, I'm now signed as a actual consultant, culinary consultant to them. So that's something I'm going to continue to do in my spare time, which really means that I just sleep an hour or two less.
Hey, hour or two less, no big deal. We're talking with Sterling Ball, Big Papa Smokers. Again, the website, bigpapasmokers.com. Sterling, always appreciate the conversation, and we'll look for you again soon.
All right. Hey, thanks, Greg.
You got it. There he is, Sterling Ball. bigpapasmokers.com if you want to check him out. Literally one of the biggest online retailers of all things that have to do with barbecue and grilling. So, if you can't find a cooker, or, obviously he's got his very successful line of rubs and all that stuff there, probably not going to be able to find it anywhere. I swear, between him and Fred, if you can't find it between those two stores, it's just not out there. They're not carrying it. Anybody is. Folks, let me talk to you quickly about Cook Shack. The competition season well underway. If it hasn't started for you, are you ready? Cook Shack has a smoker to get you in the winner's circle. Fast Eddies by Cook Shack, the FEC 100, the choice of many teams on the competition circuit. Dave Bosca, Butcher Barbecue, Dana Hillis, Big Papa Country Kitchen, and Todd Johns of Plowboys Barbecue have competed using FEC 100 for years. Dave won the 2012 barbecue contest at the World Food Championships in Las Vegas and was featured on this past season's Barbecue Pitmaster show. Todd John won the American Royal in 2009 using his FEC 100. Other notable teams using the FEC, Diva Q, Danielle Domofsky, Jiggy Piggy, Pork Patrol Barbecue, and Jeff Northcutt from Dr. Nordy's Barbecue. So why do these legendary pitmasters prefer the FEC 100? Todd Johns of Plowboys considered his two FEC 100s as a member of his cooking team. They handle his fire management. He then can cook by himself, does not have to worry about the pit temperature. They will be consistent. He can roll into the contest 6 p.m., prep his meats, and be ready to cook quickly. The FEC 100 puts you in control so you can concentrate on your flavor profiles and making those turn-in boxes. Cook Shack has testimonials, how-to videos on the website, cookshack.com, and their YouTube channel if you want to see these pitmasters tell you themselves why they prefer the Cook Shack FEC 100 for their competition season. The FEC features a digital Cook Shack IQ4 controller, which lets you set the smoke, cooking time, and temperature, and the holding temperature. The heat and flavor source is 100% food-grade wood pellets that are easily obtainable, inexpensive, easy to store. The pellet heat is controlled by a fully automated pellet system and produces very little ash as compared to traditional stick burners and, of course, those charcoal smokers as well, especially if you're using briquettes. If you want to use more smoke flavor, Cook Shack offers an optional log burner that Stuart Powell's told us about last week. Just call one of the friendly sales professionals at Cook Shack, 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698. And they can tell you more about everything that you want to know. Cookshack.com is the website. Check it out and discover the real taste of barbecue. It's Cook Shack. Happy to have them aboard here. All right, we're back with Justin McGlaun from Lucky's Q right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Who would have thought this music thing was going to go this far? I never asked for this.
All right, we're back. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Helping me close the show tonight, pitmaster of Lucky's Q, winner of the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout this past weekend, an inaugural Kingsford Invitational contestant, former Sam's Club national champion. Let's go ahead and welcome back Justin McGlaun to the show. Justin, how are you, bud?
Good. How you doing, Greg?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely fabulous, man. I got to ask, because it's happened a couple times in the past, no echo tonight, right? We good?
No echo this time.
All right,
it's
perfect. Justin McGlaun joining me here on the show. All right, so, Justin, not your typical contest this past weekend. It's shootout style. So there's a couple flights on Saturday, and you qualify in depending on where you finish, and you get to cook in the final event on Sunday. So, like, 3 total contests. What do you think about this kind of format? Is this something that you could, kind of cook in every weekend? Is it good to pick your spots on these type of things? Where's your thought?
I liked it. It was a different feel. You still got to cook against whoever's there. It didn't really matter. I just looked at it as a simple one-day contest, normal thing, and you got 42 teams versus 84. I mean, so you're looking at the same teams, just they just split them up, and it was funny after the flights were called. Everyone was trying to pick what flight was harder and everything like that. They were pretty even. It was really surprising how that evened out and everything came to a head the way it did.
In some ways, Justin, does it have a Sam's Club-esque feel to it in having to hit the qualifying number to move on to Sunday, and then on Saturday, are you looking to qualify and hopefully win, or are you cooking to win, and then if you qualify, then that's great and you get to move on Sunday? What's the mindset when you have dual competitions?
Well, my goal was to prove that you can do it both days. I didn't want to come out on Saturday and have a good showing and then totally tank on Sunday, kind of like the Royal feel people get. A lot of the teams that are called on Saturday don't get called on Sunday. So my idea was to come out and cook solid both days and hopefully come out, on top. And you just put forth your best effort both days. You got to look at it separate contests, and that's how my mindset was, I guess.
So talk to me about the weather a little bit here, and because I guess, when I'm talking to the pitmasters on the show each and every week, it's not like that's a topic that comes up, maybe a little rain here and there, maybe a little wind, but, Saturday it's warm, kind of a nice day, maybe a little windy, but, Sunday, Miami, Oklahoma does its best impersonation of Cleveland, Ohio with snow and wind, and it's miserable. From a competitor's side of things, how does this affect what you're doing from a nice day Saturday to cold and snowy on Sunday?
Well, it's like being in Iowa, really. I mean, we deal with that quite a bit, but I think Mike Wozniak put it best. He goes, I've cooked in snow, I've cooked in sleet, I've cooked in rain, and I've cooked in wind, but he says I haven't had it all in one day. So, I mean, it was the best example of I heard all weekend because that's all we had. It was nonstop. It was relentless. That wind, every time you opened the trailer, it took 2 people because if you didn't hold onto the door when you're going to get something under your pit, the door just slammed shut or slammed against the wall. I mean, it was a battle. It was.
When you and the team are headed out there, are you actively watching the weather and trying to get the forecast to see what it's like, or does it kind of catch you by surprise?
Actually, I checked it for probably 2 weeks prior, on and off, and before we left, they talked a little bit of rain on Saturday night, and I didn't think it would be a big deal. And then all of a sudden, a day prior, it was like, oh yeah, we're going to get snow now. And gust of 45 mile an hour and all this stuff. And needless to say, I was a little unprepared clothes-wise. I always had some warm weather clothes. I didn't pack rain gear and everything like that like I should have. But, you try to watch it for what you can, but this one kind of was a little unexpected.
Justin McGlaun from Lucky's Q joining me here, kind of recapping the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout this past weekend that they ended up winning overall on Sunday. So, when you're dealing with this weather, what techniques have you learned over the years? You said you're from Iowa, so you're kind of used to cooking in this. What techniques do you implement to really hopefully can give you some consistency so you can kind of achieve that final product that you're normally getting?
Well, my biggest concern was not to open the pit more than I had to. Sometimes you might check your brisket or your pork to get done 5 times instead of checking it. I checked it twice. I left myself a little less window on that. I also, with my ribs, I didn't want to get in there and spritz them like I normally do, which kind of affected my overall ribs. But then that guaranteed my brisket and my pork would be done, and even my chicken. Chicken's such on a timeline that if I don't let it cook for the desired temp for the desired time, it's not going to be where I want it at turn-in time. So you open that door, it takes 5-10 minutes for the temp to get back to where it was before, and that's a big deal.
What kind of a pit are you guys cooking on?
I'm still cooking on the stump stretch, and then I also been starting to cook on they came out with a Stumpster model. It's a smaller version with a charcoal on the bottom. It's more of a direct, but it's got a heat diverter on it, and I cook my pork and some ribs on that actually. So I'm switching it up a little bit. And then I have a BPS can to finish chicken on.
There's a lot of different cookers out there. You stick burners, you have the gravity feds, the verticals, and so forth. Why does the stump seem to work for you guys, and what other pits have you guys toiled around with during your time in the competition scene?
This was the original pit I started with Competition Barbecue, to tell you the truth. And I like it just because it's kind of it's consistent temperature, and I do not have to worry about tending my fire when I'm doing turn-ins, when I'm got other things going on. It really opens me up to concentrate on what I have to do at the time versus tending the fire or anything like that. And it produces good product, and it's insulated. You get the weather like this, you don't get the temperature spikes. You don't get, it's consistent all the way across. So it's a great pit.
What did you think of the venue out there in Oklahoma? Something you've kind of seen before, or is this a whole new type of a look for you?
Well, you can tell that a cook organized it because he did a wonderful job. You didn't have to worry about ice if you needed it, and then Saturday was a warmer, so we went through a little bit more ice on things. He had grease barrels, ash barrels accessible. The judging area, the turn-ins, were right centrally located, which was a great touch. Some teams have a longer walk than others at a lot of contests, so it's kind of nice to, have those amenities. You can tell there's those little touches that, that were put on by someone that cooks for, contests and stuff like that.
As you're going through Sunday, you're getting the categories called out. You eventually make it into the overall awards, and Lucky's Q is called as overall grand champion. What kind of a sense of accomplishment do you feel, given the fact that you've had to kind of toil through the weather? Obviously, a great number, a lot of big name teams out there too. Justin, I mean, certainly you're not used to cooking in very big events and winning big events. But early in the year, this has probably got to be a good boost to getting off on the right foot.
Yeah, it definitely was. We kind of had the monkey on our back. We haven't had a grand since Sam's Club, actually, that we won 2 years ago. And we've had a reserve and a couple of thirds and fourths, been bouncing around. And it was to come out early in the year and do this. It was a big boost for our team, and we can really look forward to the rest of the season. And that was my goal starting off. I want to hit it hard early and possibly see if we can, just cook some contests and do really well instead of just, kind of field fill all year long.
How many contests are on the Lucky's Q slate at this point?
Well, we'll have 7 by the first weekend in May. Then after that, it's kind of depends on how we keep doing. I know I'm signed up for Sam's Club. Actually, I'm signed up for 2 of them because I'm going to go to Madison and hopefully qualify and be able to hit a local contest near here. That's really fun. Other than that, we're kind of playing it by ear. We got a lot of our favorites, of course, place we won the first GC in Owatonna. And so we might be looking at 15 for sure. If we start doing really well, we might get a little higher than that, 20. Kind of depends on the year.
Did you guys take a look at, flavor profiles, techniques, everything that has to do with how the end product was getting evolved into during the off season? Like, were there any significant changes that you guys had made?
I had limited time with this winter to do much because the weather was not ideal. But my biggest change was the change from Blues Hog. I'm not going to lie. I use very little Blues Hog in any of my products. This was a big change for me, and I kind of developed some sauces that I wanted to use on some things, and I'm trying to get against the different taste profile or flavor profile is the word, I guess, looking for on some of the meats, and that complement the meat, and just something a little different.
So if this takes off and you start winning hand over fist, do we see a Lucky's Q barbecue sauce coming in jars here before the end of the year?
I doubt that. Got a lot of work tweaking to do yet, but it's good, put it that way.
So to verbally say out loud that you are going away from Blues Hog seems to be like barbecue suicide, because it still seems to be like a prevailing flavor profile, or at least an ingredient that people are using. Do you see a trend of people starting to get away with that to maybe stand out a little bit more instead of falling into the same vanilla flavor profile that's been winning these many years?
Oh, definitely. I think the biggest thing with Blues Hog is the shine, the color it gives the meat. It looks so good. And I'm trying to replicate that with other things, and that's the issue I'm running into, and I got to change a little bit of my cooking process to accommodate the color change, and I think more people are playing with it than what people realize, I guess. Then they're, just it's hard to say, I guess.
I mean, it's a lot of money to invest to diverge from something that you think is going to win or that is known to win. There's got to be a lot of apprehension to think that you might be kind of screwing yourself out of a lot of money if you're going away from what you think judges might be expecting, because that's like what you're doing. You're kind of cooking in hopes that you're producing something the judges are going to like, right?
Oh, exactly. And they're used to that on ribs. They're used to that on chicken. The whole mixture of Blues Hog and every other sauce is out there. I think the biggest thing is if it tastes good, it tastes good. And that's what I'm shooting for, is something that is not overpowering. I mean, you can smell Blues Hog before you even, taste it. And it is an overpowering sauce if you use too much of it too. So I think that's what I'm trying to do, is just make barbecue taste like barbecue, make it taste good.
Justin, where are you guys going to be competing at next?
Pleasant Hill, Missouri, Smokin on Big Creek. It's a good fundraiser for Operation Barbecue Relief. We didn't make it last year. We've been down there a couple other times, and a bunch of our friends are going to be there. It's a good time.
All right, Justin McGlaun is the pitmaster of Lucky's Q, and walked away with overall grand champion in this past weekend at the Smokin at the Run BBQ Shootout in Miami, Oklahoma. Justin, always appreciate the time, man. Good to catch up. We'll talk to you again soon. All
right, thanks, Greg.
You got it. There he is, Justin McGlaun, pitmaster of Lucky's Q. I was lucky enough to meet Justin and Katie, and, that's the wrong button, and his other teammates at the inaugural Kingsford Invitational, which took place out in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. You know where nowhere, Missouri is, right? You go to BF Egypt, Missouri, make a left, and then go out 87 miles to the middle of nowhere where cows roam free. Oh, and then there happens to be a huge-ass Kingsford charcoal plant in the middle of nowhere either. And great group, a great team. There was obviously a lot of great teams out there. But getting to meet Justin and Scott Nelson over Pigskin and his wife, Katie, and their kids, that was like one of the highlights of that weekend for me. And so always love catching up with Justin and seeing what is going on with them. And congratulations to the big one out there in Oklahoma, kind of kicking off the year in the right way. And hopefully that leads to good, bigger, better things this year. And moving away from Blues Hog. What? Watch out. Finally, we're hearing of the divergence of the flavor profile that has been dominating competition barbecue. Folks, do you hate standing near the hot grill waiting for your food? Of course, me too. Let iGrill take care of it. The iGrill 2, the iGrill Mini Bluetooth grilling thermometers work with your iOS device to let you know when your food is perfectly cooked from up to 150 feet away. Jeff, I'll get to you here in a second. They magnetically mount to your grill or smoker and compact with pretty awesome features like graphing, minimum, maximum temperature settings, custom proximity wake-up LED temperatures indicating that goes through a range of color based on doneness. Red lets you know that your food has reached its target temperature, while green, yellow, and orange show its progress. Grill your own for just get your own iGrill Mini for $39.99 at the website iDevicesInc.com, or you can also get them, depending on where you're at select Lowe's stores. Then, of course, you have the iGrill 2. It's bigger and badder. Forget about Deffer. With a full illuminated display, 4 probes for maximum temperature tracking. Ships in May, so just about a month and a half from now. You can pre-order your iGrill 2 for $99.99. Today, get free shipping with your order of $50 or more. Again, that's at the website iDevices Inc. That's iDevicesinc.com. And, of course, you can follow iGrill on the Facebooks for exclusive offers and barbecue updates. Just to recap, iGrill Mini, $39.99 at iDevicesinc.com, or select Lowe's stores if you got a Lowe's. Who doesn't? Lowe's? I want to always say that Sam's Club owns stores. That's not right. Sam's does not own Lowe's. They own Walmart, and Sam's are like the same. iGrill 2, $99.99, 4 probes. Pre-order now, shipping in May. $50 or more on your order, get you free shipping. iDevicesinc.com. That's iDevicesinc.com. We're back to wrap up the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Big B, Moonshine Band, Suburban Noise Records. Let's go! I'm an outlaw. Give me 2 shots. We don't need a radio. Bring a jukebox for my outlaws.
All right, we are back. Adam Hawthorne writing in. You said shit out. I did? Adam, do we have to recount the fact that I am a master orator? I have full command of the English vernacular, and I would not make a verbal slip-up like that. Like fine Fat Chef Tony knives are my skills of English oration. Also, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I say a lot of words in 2 hours, bro. Jeff Starks, instant messaging. Greg, I must ask, what is the song and band name of one of your theme songs? You usually use it for your intro music. Heavy guitar riff. All right. Let me see. You tell me if this is the if this is it.
Might be a good idea.
Is this it, Jeff? This is the theme song. I have a lot of other bumpers that are heavily riffed. All right, yeah, this is it. I am more than happy to tell you that the group's name is Cell Dweller, and the song name is Switchback. Caveat: this particular version is if you search Cell Dweller Switchback, this song actually has words and everything. This particular version is like Detroit instrumental 2010 or something like that. So there's no words to this song. But this is who does the intro. Cell Dweller, and it's called Switchback. But even the song with words is good. It's one of my favorite songs. It's been the theme song for this show like for a number of years now. I love it. McD was thinking of the bluesy guitar bumper. Bluesy. Which one is that one? I don't have a bluesy guitar. Oh, wait. You're thinking of I'm a Pitmaster by OC Barbecue. Yeah. All right. Good enough. Let's call it an evening because we've had a successful show. All the way back in the first hour, we were talking with barbecue and grilling icon Steven Reichland. He has penned a number of best-selling books. Did he just say How to Grill has been sold 2 million copies or something like that? Hey, Steven, guess what? This podcast has been downloaded more than that. Eat it. See you on the third Tuesday of next month, pal. We also talked with Michael McDermott, Get Fired Up Foods. GetFiredUpFoods.com. Steven's website, by the way, barbecuebible.com. We recapped the steak method, which I highly encourage. We talked a little bit about him filling in for me at the Miami, Oklahoma barbecue shootout at Smokin at the Run. I'm going to be back there. Maybe it's me and McD co-hosting next year. How about that? I'm down. You'll find me at the casino, at the bar, and then in the bathroom full of vomit. Second hour, Big Papa Smoker's pitmaster Sterling Ball. Had a gas talking with him on a number of different subjects, to include the Old Hickory Pits, the rubs, what the West Coast offense is, what might need to change in barbecue to kind of bring it back, or where it needs to separate, stuff like that. And then we close out the show with Justin McGlaun from Lucky's Q talking about the big win at the Smokin at the Run barbecue shootout in Miami, Oklahoma. So a lot of stuff there. Big show planned already next week. If you have raw cast iron, season it each and every time. A little bit of Pam, a little bit of Crisco as it comes back down from high heat. Let it burn back in. Generations of rust-free service. Also, September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.